While we're here at the food bank today, Chef is going to show us how to prepare, or how he prepares some of the foods that go out of the kitchen. So this is one that is going out on a food truck today, or similar to. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and you can talk to us about how you get creative with the ideas and with the ingredients.
Well, thank you, Barbara, and welcome to the food bank.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you guys out. This is today we're preparing just a basic marinara kind of combination of lots of different vegetables, pasta, a ratatouille style pasta that we turned into a bolognese by adding beef and different other vegetables that came from our local garden here at the Community Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma. So what we do is when we come in daily, we see what we have that's fresh and what needs to be used, kind of that FIFO, first in, first out method that you use in a kitchen, and see what our proteins are, and then we create our menus. There's a lot of times that we're able to write a couple of menus a day ahead, you know, but then there's days that it's kind of, we go with the flow, and it's what I was talking about earlier, that kind of mystery basket style cooking, you know, which makes it fun. We like to have lots of vegetables. We really like to cook healthy in our meals that we send out to our community in need.
Okay, well, why don't you get started and show us how it all goes together.
Okay, so we making with the tomato sauce, the marinara pomodoro style. I've got fresh tomatoes here from our garden, and I've already stewed them here. I've got some that are already stewed here. But what we like to do is we like to Monday concasse them, and we're not actually going to take the seed out, but what we'd do is we'd make a little slit in them, and then we would boil our tomato. I like to, so what I'm going to do here is I've got my skillet already getting hot. I like to start out with a hot skillet, and you know, we'd call that sauteing, because we want a nice caramelization on our vegetables. I'm going to start out with quite a bit of olive oil here. So this is an extra virgin olive oil, and really, I know I'm going to contradict myself here because I'm using extra virgin, but it's what we had, and that's what we do here at the food bank. We use the products that we have, but if I was making this at the house, I would probably use a Parmesan olive oil, because extra virgin, it's so much more expensive. That's what you really use for dressings and finishing products. And when you're cooking and burning, it's just, you know, it's better to buy that cheaper oil, because that you're not going to be able to tell the difference in the end. And so I start with my garlic and my vegetables after my oil's gotten nice and hot there. And then we'll add all of our nice vegetables to this. I've got eggplant.
Now, are you deciding on how much based on what you have, or what you've experienced in before? There was a lot of garlic there.
Experience, and it's all by feel, by sight, smell, you know, using those senses that we have, and just by doing it for as long as I have.
The smell part's working really well right now.
Some onion. Okay. And then I'm going to let these saute up for a little bit by themselves, because it's going to take these vegetables a lot longer to stew down and get soft to the consistency that I want before the tomatoes are. So now that we've got our tomatoes stewed down, what I want to do now is take the skin off of them. Okay. So what I would do is pull them out of the hot water, and I'm going to drop them in an ice bath. All right. And you can just drop them down in there for, you know, 10-15 seconds to where you're able to handle them, and then you pull it up, and that skin just falls right off of it. Peels off very nicely. Okay. And they can still be hot. You can drop it back down in there till you're ready to put them in your sauce.
How long do you generally leave them in the water?
So I go about, if the water's boiling when you put them in there, I go about 3 minutes max. Okay. So from that point, you would take them, and you're going to cut them down just a little bit. All right. If you wanted to do the true Monday concasse, you could take the seeds out of them. I'm not too worried about the seeds. I'm just going to go with the whole tomato into our sauce. Then I've already even prepared ahead of time with our mise en place and got some other stewed tomatoes.
So how long are you going to let this
I'm
simmer
gonna let this stew here for about 10 minutes. But before we finish it off, I'm gonna add some of our fresh herbs from our garden. Okay. And these are some of my favorite herbs. Give that a little stir so it can stew down in with it. I'm gonna throw a little S&P in there, salt and pepper. Then one other ingredient I want to add to this barb before we let it kind of go through its final stages in about the last 10-15 minutes while it's stewing down is I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar to it, okay? Because there's a lot of acid in this sauce right here right now, and so I feel like that sugar just kind of helps it tone it down some and make it more recognizable to the palate.
Yeah. There's a lot of concern about the amount of sugar that people are eating, but I think when you're adding it intentionally, you're talking about a different thing than getting it mixed in with something where you're not expecting it.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So we're just going to take about a nice little tablespoon there, tablespoon and a couple teaspoons of sugar. So we'll let this stew down for about 10 minutes before we take our immersion blender to it. So now that we've got this blended down to the consistency that we're looking for, Barb, I'm going to go ahead and add our cooked rotini pasta to it, and then we'll get ready to serve it in a bowl.
All right.
To dish up here.
I'll give you this much and let you go from there.
Okay. So we've got our cooked rotini pasta, and it's going to coat really, really well.
That's one of the nice things about the rotini. It's got all those little capture places, so you get lots of sauce in every bite.
I love rotini, and this being a garden rotini, you know, it's made with tomato and spinach, and so it's kind of a healthier option of pasta. So give that a good stir in there, and you could probably even use a little more pasta to the sauce consistency, but that's all right. So then from there, what we would do is we would do a nice little bowl of pasta. Okay. Finish off with a little shredded Parmesan here. And maybe even garnish with some of our herbs that we started with. I'll throw some little fresh herbs in there, but that's just something simple like that is our garden rotini fresh vegetable pasta.
Thank you, Jeff.
My pleasure.
This has been awesome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.